Welcome to another edition of Coffee with the Goose, where we talk about things that are, interesting, fascinating, a little irritating sometimes. I am the Goose, and I'm so glad you joined me for another show. Let's start, as we always do, with our PEDs, my performance-enhancing caffeine. Is that PED? Anyhow, my coffee, very strong, just like my opinion. Got some creamer in there to make it sweet, just like me. Let's get back to boxing, shall we? No, I have no breaking news. Everyone's got breaking news, and none of it's really news. It's just their bucket list or their wish list of things they want to happen. We don't play that, as you know. We wait for the actual official news to come out before we report it to you. But we're kind of in a lull. I think we all agree in the boxing world, or at least the welterweight boxing world, waiting for the next big bout. We're all, glad we saw the last two fights. Of course, the Pacquiao-Thurman fight, which was great, and then the Errol Spence Jr. against Sean Porter fight, which is also great. And so who knows what's going to happen next? Who wants to fight? Let's see, how was I going to put this? Who wants who to fight who? I think that's what I meant. Of course, we want to see the unification bouts in the welterweight division. There are three title holders right now. We've got Terrence Crawford and Spence and Pacquiao. And we don't know what's happening with Spence yet. It's kind of frustrating, but again, we pray that Errol Spence Jr. recovers fully from that horrible car crash he experienced not long ago. But what's the driving force behind the big fights? We want to see this guy fight that guy. What's the number one category that determines who's going to fight who? It's money. That's what it's all about. Let's not forget, they're not the gladiators. They're entertainers. Yeah, they're beating the snot out of each other, but let's not forget, it's all for our entertainment. It's all about money. These promoters are not going to fight, pit Joe Blow against this other guy because just for no good reason, just because we want to see it. No, they want to make money. That's how they operate. So what I want to do is educate you about the 25, and don't worry, I'll, won't bore you to death with this. The 25 most popular, most purchased pay-per-view boxing matches of all time. And almost all of them are in the welterweight division. As you may or may not know, we all love boxing, and there's how many divisions? There's a bunch of them. But the two divisions that capture boxing fans' imaginations, not just hardcore boxing fans, but the casual fans as well, are heavyweight, because they're the big bad King Kong, the big bad boys, and welterweight. Why welterweight? Because that's kind of the size, we can identify with, 147 pounds. So welterweight division, it's so entertaining these days because it's stacked with great fighters, and now hopefully we're in the midst of a unification tournament, if you will, between PBC and then Crawford. Poor Terrence Crawford all by himself under the tutelage of Bob Arum. But hopefully we'll see it all unified, and it's entertaining watching these guys fight, and it's also entertaining just chatting about it and arguing about it. I like it too. So let's talk about the 25 most watched pay-per-view fights of all time. And you're going to find familiar names, two very familiar names. The number at number 25 was Floyd Mayweather Jr. against Robert Guerrero. Easy pickings for Floyd. Another at number 24, more easy pickings for Floyd. Let's not forget, you may not like the guy, but he is one of the all-time greats. He frustrates me to no end, but he's 50-0. You can't argue with it. Next on the list, and it was easy pickings against another future Hall of Famer, Juan Manuel Marquez. Next on the list, Manny Pacquiao, and one of his great beatdowns of all time against big bad Antonio Margarito. I'll never forget that fight. It was one of those, and there are many examples of matchups with Pacquiao where, all the experts, so-called experts, said leading up to the fight, "Oh my God, Pacquiao's going to get killed. This guy's too big, too strong, too everything." And that epitomized Antonio Margarito, and Manny beat him up and made him retire. Broke an eye socket. It was horrible for Margarito fans. Next on the list was, if you don't like Manny, you'll love this one, and it was painful to watch. It was that his fourth fight against Juan Manuel Marquez, where he got knocked into next week. It was ugly. And good for Juan Manuel Marquez. He's a great fighter. We're listing many of the the most watched pay-per-view boxing matches of all time. Next on our list, back to Pacquiao, and this was really his coming out party, at least for many boxing fans, casual fans, his beatdown and the retirement of Oscar De La Hoya. That again, people actually said this leading into that fight. De La Hoya will kill him. He won't just beat him. He'll kill Pacquiao. And Manny embarrassed him and made him quit on a stool. That was an amazing performance. Moving on with our list, another example, and I told you there were many of them. Oh, this guy will kill Pacquiao. He's a true welterweight with speed, skill, and power, and it was Miguel Cotto. And again, Manny beat him badly, and I got a TKO with that one. The next fight, as we count down most of the top 25 most watched pay-per-view boxing matches of all time, Floyd Mayweather Jr. And now this is the only Mayweather fight I paid for that did not include Pacquiao. And I was ripped off. I'm still sore about this one. You remember this? It was corruption, or at least, I'll say it, corruption. The judge, the referee, it was his knockout. And that was his last knockout, not counting McGregor. Okay, that wasn't even boxing. All right, it was Victor Ortiz, the sucker punch. Remember that one? It's just, I paid money to watch that. What a joke! And what made it even more frustrating is that Mayweather was toying with him. It's just making him look bad. And then Ortiz got angry and headbutted him on purpose. And then, a minute later came the sucker punch, and Ortiz was down and out. The next fight on our list of the most purchased pay-per-view boxing matches ever, back to Pacquiao, and another schooling, this time of Shane Mosley. And again, Mosley, great fighter, tough guy. We've seen him fight many times. Pacquiao knocked him down and then made him run for his life for another 10 rounds. The next fight on the most popular or most paid for pay-per-view matches is Mayweather against Shane Mosley. And Mosley gave him a good fight. Mayweather won. It was a clear decision, but it was fun to watch. Next on our list, more Pacquiao, more Juan Manuel Marquez. This was their third fight. And I'm going to be honest with you. I thought Marquez won this fight, to be honest. It was a close fight. But they gave it to Manny. And it was also, if you remember, if you do any Manny history, this was the fight, not the knockout. This was the fight after which Manny had his come to Jesus moment and, had to look in the mirror and thank God and acknowledge he's just a man like the rest of us. But he won that fight. Listing the many of the 25 most purchased pay-per-view boxing matches of all time. And again, Mayweather and Pacquiao are the predominant, the dominant names in this list. The next one, Mayweather against Miguel Cotto. And again, real deal. Cotto gave him a run for his money, but Mayweather wasn't even close, really. Then more Floyd, and this was back when Floyd would actually duke it out with you. It was Oscar De La Hoya, and many people think De La Hoya won that fight, but that's crying over spilt milk. A great, entertaining fight. Mayweather won that one. And finally, drum roll, please. Okay, never mind that. Mayweather and Pacquiao, the by far the most watched pay-per-view boxing match ever. 2015, I believe, and ho-hum. It was very frustrating. A little bit of corruption, a little bit of an injury, a lot of running and hugging and tap and run some more. And I hated that fight. Who knows if they'll do it again? I don't think they will. But that was, as you probably know, no surprise there, the most watched pay-per-view boxing match ever. Floyd Mayweather Jr. against Manny Pacquiao. Now, how many times are Mayweather and Pacquiao involved in the top 25 most watched pay-per-view boxing matches ever? 8 times for Floyd and 7 times for Manny. So again, it's not, you can talk all you want. We all have fun with this, debating who's better. He's ducking him, and he's clearly, he can knock this guy away. We love talking about that. But nobody really ducks. It's all about the money. That's what makes these fights happen. If you're wondering why this guy's not fighting that guy, it ain't because he's afraid of him. It's because it's just not going to make money. A great example of that was just a few years ago when Pacquiao was still under the Top Rank banner with Bob Arum. Everyone wanted to see Pacquiao fight Terrence Crawford. That would have been a great fight. But guess what? Nobody would have watched it. Look it up. If you don't believe me, nobody would have watched that fight. That's why it didn't happen. It's not Pacquiao was afraid of Crawford. And if you know your boxing, Pacquiao ain't afraid of nobody. No. Sorry. But that's why it didn't happen. It just would not have sold. Who could fight now that would sell a lot of pay-per-view tickets? Anybody who Pacquiao fights now. That would of course mean Crawford, but that's not going to happen because they're not working for the same person. Pacquiao against Errol Spence Jr., and who knows if that'll happen because we don't know what Errol Spence Jr.'s head is like after that car crash, or even a rematch of Spence and Sean Porter. Those would be the 3, or maybe even Spence and Crawford. So those 4 guys, those are the guys who people really want to see fight. And don't forget the 5th guy. I hate to bring up his name, but like I said, it's all about the money. People want to see Pacquiao and Mayweather go at it again. Who knows? But again, the moral of the story is it's all about the Benjamins, as they say. It's all about money. That's what determines who's going to fight who. Okay? That's it for this edition of Coffee with the Goose. Thank you so much for watching. Again, thank you very much for subscribing. We're very indebted to you. We're humbled, and we're going to continue to just have fun with this, all right? Thanks again, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care.